So I wanted to change things up a little bit today and talk about how to make it in the NFT space or how to make it in the Web3 space. And this is something that I haven't really seen on YouTube a lot. And I thought it would be very valuable if I talk about this subject because I've launched my own company that's done very, very, very well, Dark Echelon. And then also I've been pretty successful in this space myself. I've done tons of cool things. I've worked with tons of cool people. So I just think this is a very good way to provide value to you guys. So what I'm going to start with is the ways on how you can get started in this space and like how you can actually make it in this space if you have more money. And then for the people who have less money, less capital, there's also other ways. So if you have money, there's obviously some advantages on, getting started in the space a little bit earlier, which is, in return, you can probably make it a little bit faster. So there's a lot of opportunity, right? And why I think this is important is because in the future, there's going to be tons of billion-dollar companies coming in this space, right? And if you position yourself correctly to be able to be successful in the long term, you're probably going to make a lot of fucking money, right? Whether you want to be on the entrepreneurial side, whether you want to be on the services side, or whether you want to launch your own product. And this like Web3 space is like a very new emerging market that's like, very volatile. So again, you have to be careful with what you're doing here. You can't just be like, all blindsided, just throwing money everywhere. You got to be careful, right? And what I really encourage for you guys is to start off with dipping your feet in this space, with learning the culture, experiencing everything, just taking the flow, right? Not rushing anything. That's one of the keys, right? A lot of people, they get started, they dump their money in some project or they try to do something and they make themselves look stupid and they hurt their reputation or they lose all their money. You don't want to do that, right? And take me as an example. I've learned so many things the hard way in this space and I just hope you guys can like learn from my mistakes, which I'll mention in this video. But yeah, obviously you want to make sure you're enjoying what you're doing over here in the Web3 space. You want to make sure that you're connecting with people here somehow, some way, right? You can't be miserable here. You can't not like it because the people who do like it, the people who are passionate about it are going to outwork the shit out of you, are going to outdo the fuck out of you. They're going to do way better than you, right? So, if you don't like it already off the bat, leave. Like, it's not for you, man. There's other ways to make money online, other ways to make money on the blockchain. Don't do this if you don't like it, right? So what I encourage for you to do, obviously, as I mentioned, dip your feet in the space. And then you have to find what you're good at, right? Whether you like trading, whether you like providing services, whether you like building software products, whether you like solving problems. And when it comes to like making money or like monetizing in the space, like, there's like unlimited amount of things that you can do. I've done many of the different types of methods myself on how to like monetize and make money in different ways. And I've been pretty successful at like pretty much all of them. So don't worry about like, having or trying to figure out a way to make money or whatever you want to call it. Like you'll figure it out. Like, you'll figure it out. You'll find what you like. You'll get better at it. You'll develop these skills and then you'll make more connections. Like it's going to happen if you really, really want it. Like if you want something, you're going to go ahead and do it. So I'm not worried about that. But, find what you're good at, so you don't want to go dive like headfirst into something that, first of all, you're not really good at, like you cannot, maximize your potential on, and something that you don't enjoy. Like you can't do that. You got to go into something that you like. You got to go into something that you can see yourself having a high potential in, and you can see yourself long-term doing this for a while. Like you want to do that, whether it's, advising projects, whether it's like showcasing your skills on building a Discord, whether it's showcasing your skills on bringing people together and doing community management, or whether it's developing smart contracts. Like figure out what you're good at. I don't think that there's going to be a lack of demand for jobs in the space. I really don't, even though there's already tons of supply. There's tons of people that do a lot of different things, but and I'm just going to sector Web3 into like the tech section really quick, like the technology sector, whatever you want to call it. Like, there's never going to be a shortage of demand or a shortage of supply for these types of jobs, these types of opportunities, whether you want to trade, work, whatever you want to do, right? The demand will never stop and the shortage will never stop. I think, with these types of markets, they're very volatile, but at the end of the day, there's always an opportunity. And now the next thing you guys must do is make connections. If you're not doing this, walk away. If you're not a social person, if you're not a person who likes to talk to other people, if you don't like people, like, why are you doing this? This is such a social environment. This is an environment where you're like on social media, you're like on the group chats all day. Like, you got to be able to hop on a phone call with someone and look them face to face. And, you got to be a person who's social. And if you're not social, it's just going to be like 10 times harder for you. So make sure you're a social person, right? And if you're not a social person, search up on Google or whatever, how to be a social person. It's really important, right? It's not like there's 100 million people in this space and it's like super crowded. Like, yes, it is crowded, but you will be able to reach the people you want to reach as long as, again, your network is so important. You can use your network to be able to reach other people. Make sure you guys are expanding on your network. And one of the things that's helped me expand to crazy levels is obviously using social media as a tactic, growing Twitter and growing YouTube. That was great. But making sure that I'm in a group, like a really designated exclusive group. And as an example, with Dark Echelon, which is my community, which is like a high capital investors group, I've created this environment to where people can just get connected super quick to other people who have more money or to other people who have knowledge and skills on certain things, right? So that's a great factor. You have to be able to be in these exclusive groups. And for people who have more money, this applies to you. If you have that money, I wouldn't even buy like a PFP project, to be honest. Like, it's not financial advice, but I think like getting into those exclusive groups is going to bring you so much more farther than owning some, PFP, which PFPs get you into like, obviously this big community. But I think these, not alpha groups, because alpha groups are going to get saturated out one day. Projects like Proof Collective, for example, like Dark Echelon, like some other ones like Forgotten Ethereal Worlds, like Project Gojira Genesis, like these projects are so exclusive, they're so low supply, and on top of that, they are so expensive to where the people that are in there are all smart people. They're all people with more money. So use that as your example, right? You can start smaller if you do not have as much money. And again, I mentioned there's other ways for people with less capital. Obviously, you can start from ground zero if you're starting with zero money. But, if you have even smaller money, then enter into like lower tier groups like this. Yeah, alpha groups are great, but a lot of alpha groups are going to die out. You're probably going to lose money on your investment too. But these higher capital investor groups, as some of the names I mentioned, those will hold their value too over a long time. And again, not financial advice. This is just over time and over patterns for what we've seen. That's why I'm mentioning that. But yeah, I think those are great methods for people with more money to get into the space and like dip their toes. And even if you're just starting out, and you have more money, that's a great way to like, boom, you enter yourself in, you get connected to all the people you want to get connected to. You can do what you want, right? You can expand, you can launch your own project and use those people to help you and use those people to network with you, whatever it is. And just as an example, in Dark Echelon, it's very common that people will partner up with other people in Dark Echelon to be able to launch their own project, and they can get successful that way because they're already partnered up with a guy who's smart and that has more money. So it's like you're putting yourself in this position to be successful. So I really recommend that. But for people with less money, enter those lower tier, I guess you could say, exclusive groups. And then for people with no money, you have to be able to dip your toes into the space. You have to be able to be a person of value. If you're not a person of value, if you don't have skills, you're not going to get anywhere, right? If you have zero money and you have zero skills, you're screwed in life, right? No one's going to want to be your friend. No one's going to want to work with you. No one's going to want to hire you. Nothing. You have to have skills. And if you don't know how to get skills, they're all on YouTube for completely free. Like, I've learned a lot of my skills in my life on YouTube, and learning skills is very easy as long as you literally just put your mind to it. So go on YouTube. You're already on YouTube. Go learn some skills if you don't have any skills. And if you don't have any friends, go get some friends. You need friends to be able to be successful, and you need skills to be able to be successful also, right? So, and if you don't have any money and you want to go ahead and get started and try to make it in the space, dude, go and provide services for free. If you see someone needs mods, go and be a mod for this project that no one cares about, right? It's going to build up your resume. Build a resume, build some type of reputation. Do that, right? People will learn about you in the community, and then eventually you can get referred or like appointed to like a higher position, which is what your goal should be, right? You should always try to aim for the top. Your goal should always be to like be greater and be better and be the biggest, or have the top highest goals possible. Like, you should always be looking up. And just understand too that a lot of people think that their growth is going to be just very linear, right? It's not. In all reality, if you really do put your work in, and if you really do make those connections, your growth will be exponential. And it's not just your growth, your network, and also your net worth will be very exponential on top of that too. So make sure you just, guys, put in the work. Come on. Like, when I started in the space, like, you guys don't even understand. I did some crazy stuff just to be able to elevate myself to where I'm at today. And yeah, like, besides providing services for free, like, I think the main thing that applies, whether you have money or you don't have money, or like you have a little bit of money, like, you need to be a skilled human being. Like, if you do not have skills, you're not going to be anything. You're not going to be friends with anyone. No one's going to want to be your friend. Like in all reality, like, why would anyone want to hire you? Why would any project want to like use you as like a mod or like a collab manager or like as an advisor? Like, why would anyone want to use you if you have no skills? Like, you need time to build skills. You have to put in the work. It's very, very simple, guys. And these formulas that I'm explaining to you guys, or like these steps that I'm explaining to you guys, it might sound very broad in general, but if you really just take these steps and really put in the actual time, like, you can actually be successful. And also, you have to believe in your heart, the mindset too. You have to believe you're going to be successful. You have to manifest that shit, not just believe it or say it, but actually go ahead and do things to be able to fulfill whatever you want, right? So obviously, having a rock solid mindset, not being like an emotional wreck. Make sure you are in control of your emotions and you're emotionally intelligent and you're knowing what you're supposed to do, and you have goals and you have a very organized plan on what you want to do, right? So the trajectory of many people's lives can obviously change with the NFT space. It changed mine and it changed a lot of my friends. Guys, put in the work. And as an example, what I've been explaining to you guys here, I've showed this to friends too, and they've applied this and they've just freaking rocketed. They've made loads of money and they've just done great things in the space. And obviously, these long hours, or whatever you want to call it, and like the ROI on your time and everything, it's great. But down the line, I think the biggest win out of what you can get in this Web3 space is the connections. I'm being serious. The money's great. You can get all the whitelists in the world. You can get all the money you want launching your project or whatever. But in all reality, the connections are literally the biggest key. Like, I have connections that I made in the Web3 space to where now I'm somehow making money that's like completely out of the Web3 space. Like, I have other businesses now out of the Web3 space. Like, guys, this is mandatory to be able to make these connections. And I'm trying to just, I guess you could say, communicate kind of like what I've learned and like my experience and everything. So really hope you guys take all of this into account. I kind of explained for people who have more money, for people who have no money, for people who have like only $1,000, like these are steps you guys can take. And for people who want to mention that this is too hard or they don't have enough time, like, look, in all reality, your excuses are great, but you're just not going to make it. Like, there's people, again, as I mentioned, that are super passionate about this and they work their ass off to go to the top, and some of them still don't even make it. So when you have tons of supply of people trying to do the same thing, it's going to get saturated, and it's going to be natural selection to where people who are the most skilled and the most driven are just going to keep on winning, keep on making more money, more connections, everything. And it's a cycle, and this is just what happens in every industry. I believe I've seen it in other industries. So what I'm saying is doing this too is going to teach you other skills that you can like apply anywhere else in life, and it's also going to teach you how to really freaking talk to people. I think that's one of the greatest things I learned too. So all I got to say after this is, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's always a pleasure talking to you guys. And yeah, again, hope this changes someone's life.